Gavin Newsom has gotten a lot of attention recently for repeatedly speaking much more aggressively than you see most Democrats speak against the Republican Party, against the right wing. And it's one of the things we talk about a lot, where the Democratic Party and individuals kind of in that orbit just seem to be so weak in their rhetoric compared to the right. And it's like, I don't want you to become the right at all. I don't want you to stoop to their lows. But you do have to fight with the same level of, obviously politically fight with the same level of passion and aggression, as long as you're not dipping into that violent rhetoric realm, of course. But as far as politics goes, you should push just as aggressively against them as they do to you. But they don't do that. The Democratic Party oftentimes wears their kid gloves, and it's really upsetting to see. But Gavin Newsom is stepping up recently. Maybe it's because he's trying to get attention for a presidential run, whatever it is, but I like it. And actually doing what I've wished more of these Democrats would do, which is speak accurately, precisely, and aggressively against the current Republican Party, at least specifically the MAGA part of it. So here's him getting asked about why are they going kind of in this authoritarian direction, and he has a really good response.
Why the desire to have these strong men? Is it a desire for autocracy?
Bill Clinton said it decades ago, right, when we got shellacked in one of the midterms, said, given the choice, the American people always support strong and wrong versus weak and right. And there was truth then about that. There's truth today about that. This effort demonization has political benefits. It worked. It works situationally. And that's what's so sad. But now it's weaponized at a whole nother level with this feedback loop of social media. And then, of course, the propaganda networks and the anger machine, which, of course, the right dominates. And we have nothing, respectfully, nothing comparable. My awakening in all this is it's not just about midterms in Congress or 2024, Biden will, Biden won't. It's deeper than that. The rights revolution, what we've taken for granted the last 50 years, is being wiped out in real time, state after state, and they have intention. They're focused, and they will stop at nothing to achieve their goals of rolling back all of these rights, and they're doing it successfully.
They are. I mean, we saw, Roe v. Wade as the biggest, most recent example, where they were successful. They won on that issue of revoking that right on a federal level. And it's incredible, something they've been working towards a long time. And I think we got complacent and they were able to succeed on that. But one of the issues, so first, just to say, absolutely correct. I love how clearly he puts that. You don't hear too many Democrats talk about that intentional and aggressive effort by the right, state by state, to revoke rights. But the other interesting part about this that I wanted to highlight was he talks about the difference between right-wing media and kind of the right-wing propaganda machine and quote-unquote left-wing media, which I don't even think there's something that fits in that box. There's sort of liberal media, I would say definitely that MSNBC has a liberal slant, and CNN doesn't like Trump, but does actually support a lot of Republican viewpoints they bring on and share with people. But it's nothing compared to the Fox News machine, as well as the OANs, the Newsmaxes, all of the YouTube shows that are following that same narrative and seem to be just concisely coordinated with one another. I'm not saying there's some conspiracy, obviously. I'm just saying that they do watch one another, chat with one another so that they have a similar message. And when something comes down from Fox News or from Donald Trump, you start hearing it everywhere on all these different shows because they're fighting for the same mission, it seems, right? So it makes sense to them to share and support the same narratives. On the left side, it is nothing like that. Yeah, maybe they'll be clear that Trump's bad, or they'll say the election wasn't stolen, or whatever it is. But it's not a propaganda machine like that. And they bring on progressives all the time and tear them in half. And it's a huge, huge difference, not even comparable. And that's part of the reason that you see the right, even though it does not represent the majority of the country, be so successful in politics still. Because people's media is largely everything in politics, where they're getting their information from, right? That's how you know what the world is for most people who don't go to any other places to find that information. Whatever shows they're watching, that's what crafts their understanding of the world. And so with that comes a very disproportionate effect between the dogmatic support of the left versus the dogmatic support of the right. And there's so many people who have that dogmatic, almost cult-like support of Trump and the media that they tune into, whereas the left still media, which I think is respectable, tries to give kind of but here's what the other side's saying, and here, we're also going to challenge those on our own side. And if you've ever been in progressive spaces, tearing each other apart all of the time, and everyone's not good enough, and all that type of stuff. And so what's my prescription on this? Do I think that the left should create or transform our media to be the same thing? No. I don't want a dishonest, lying media like the right has. But I do think some level of understanding that it's okay to be clear with your bias, kind of like what I try to do on this show. Lay out the facts, but then make clear what is being fought for. And I think if you're in the commentary world, that is the best thing you can do. Now, if you're trying to be like a straight news show, and just giving the day-to-day breakdown of what's going on, that's a different thing. But if you're giving a commentary, which most shows are, just be clear. Here, this is what I stand for, and this is the importance of the message I'm putting out there. And then here's all the facts that you can take and interpret in your own way. And don't both sides everything. Don't try to stay completely neutral. You can be objective without being neutral. You can be honest without actually dishonestly giving a portrayal of the world that makes both sides look equal and all of those things. So that could be a change. And it seems like Newsom is highlighting that. There's nothing even close to the team sport nature of the media and politician world on the right. And it seems like Hillary Clinton, in a recent interview, was highlighting the same thing. She said there's an element of this which is quite frustrating because they get away with it. The so-called mainstream media, even though the so-called progressive media is just not as relentless in rebutting, refuting, and making clear that this is nothing but a play for profits at the cost of truth. And so she's highlighting that as well. It might have mattered if one of the other networks for 10 days said, do you know one of the very first people to get vaccinated in the UK in December of 2020 was Rupert Murdoch? Did you know that Fox News requires all of their employees to be vaccinated? So she's giving a specific example of if I use the word again, kind of, maybe not to use that dogmatically again, because that's not really applicable, but in a regimented fashion, the left every day on all the shows you were hearing, did you know Rupert Murdoch got vaccinated? He was the first one in the UK is what she's saying. I've not fact checked that, but, was early. We know that. And Fox News employees have to get vaccinated, but then hosts on their program are saying, the vaccine's this horrible plot to whatever. And the vaccine might be dangerous. And Tucker Carlson spreading all that dangerous information, misinformation, disinformation. That is not something you would see in progressive media, where every single show is repeating the line, Fox News employees are vaccinated. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch got vaccinated super early, so that the right wingers go, wait, why are my news hosts telling me something that goes against their own personal decisions? Doesn't make any sense, right? And so there's Hillary Clinton kind of with a similar message as Gavin Newsom. Very interesting. Again, I'm not super clear on what the prescription is here, right? Like, what is it that we want progressive media to be? More aggressive on narratives, maybe, while keeping it honest, because you don't want us to become right-wing media, but you also want us to be somewhat more on an even playing field, kind of in this political clash that's going on.